What's going on, guys? Haterade Cowboy here at CEDIA 2023 in Denver, Colorado. You already know this guy. I've got Matt Trinklein here. What's going on, Matt? It's good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Jordan.
Yeah. So thank you for taking some time out from your busy schedule at CEDIA.
No problem.
So as I told you, we're shooting a video shooting a home theater tour for Doyle and Katie. He's got a 7.5.4 perlisten system. He's got StormAudio. So I wanted to kind of just ask you a couple of questions about that, because I asked him, I was like, how does that work? And he's like, oh, he logged in and he remotely calibrated everything. And I know ideally you probably want to be there in person, but with something like Storm that's so sophisticated and so highly advanced, how does that work? How are you able to log in and do all this calibration and not be able to be there in person and still have the confidence that we know we're going to set this up right?
So this is something we addressed in 2020 when COVID was a big thing, right? Because people didn't want anybody in their homes. They especially, integrators were already coming in to do work. It was a good time for the industry because people were stuck at home.
Okay.
So, it was this little, what's the word I'm looking for? As little people in the house as possible, I guess I'll say, since this escapes me. And so, it was posed to us of how would we do this if we had to do it remotely. And I tell people all the time, it's really funny because my background's audio engineering, that's where I come from.
Right.
And I used to tell people all the time, you can't calibrate remotely. And then it came up, well, we don't have a choice. We're going to have to do it. How do we do it? So we looked at, the tools that we have in Dirac Live, and we said, okay, we know this really well. Can we come up with something that would be consistent and repeatable? So we came up with our own methodology and approach, and that's what we deploy. It's actually a service that we provide as a manufacturer, and it's what we call a pro remote assisted calibration. And we do it in a couple different levels and tiers. And funny enough, this is actually the second time that we did a PRAC for Mr. Schaefer there.
Really?
So
Okay.
he did one. We did one with him when we first set up his system with phase control, but active room treatment wasn't available yet. So Doyle is he's a guy who pays attention, knows what he's talking about, does his research.
So he's got some nice gear.
We
in there.
love that kind of customer. He's got a really nice setup, and he did it all himself. It's very impressive.
Wow.
He contacted us way before active room treatment was even out and said, hey, when you guys do this, I'd like to be, one of the first people that you already have set up to come do. So we did that with our reps in Texas went out. We had Mr. Brian Kirkpatrick, he's an excellent individual over at Bell & McCoy, went over and actually was in person doing this live with Doyle. So we went through, he did have to do a complete new measurement set because he changed his subwoofers out. That's one of the nice things about ART. If you don't have all the same equipment, we can actually use your old calibration project and just activate and configure and detail the ART system.
That's sweet.
But he did upgrade to some perlisten subs. Five of them, yes. And it's quite impactful. This is for a 1-3-seat couch, if I remember correctly.
We're working on that.
Yeah, we're working on that. But hey, you know what? It's for everything that he's got set up, it's a killer impact. So we ran through a quick recalibration for the measurements. We went through and dialed in the ART. Perlisten makes it very easy for us to do that because they've got really, really low end. With the subs he's got in there, we were able to actually activate the infrasonic feature of Dirac Live Active Room Treatment, which is a separate sub 20 hertz configuration. And allows us to do treatment and run all the way flat down to the low end and give you all that really deep feel that you want. So it came out pretty killer. I'm normally with this, because we're not there, the one thing that we have to do is involve the customer at the end, and we go through listening tests, and we want to do music content, cinematic content, both things that are very soft and quiet, and then things that are loud, dynamic, and aggressive, because we want to make sure that we're hitting all the right spots on every one of those pieces of balance. Because you can't just set up for the loud explosions. You need to have everything has to be
subtleties, the subtle sounds.
Right. It's what we call practicing the culture of excellence, right? Like every bit of that has to be good, no matter if you're going from Nora Jones and a little studio on a piano to Maverick, right? It's all got to be great. So
awesome. So I guess another question I had is, how do you go about, obviously you're not there, do you direct them as to say, hey, make sure your speakers are here, or do you work with what they have? Because everybody has limitations.
We work with what you have. What we do is we send you a preparation guide and checklist. We want your system to be all set up, ready to go. And then what we do is we have you give us a data package. Now that data package is every piece of information that you have. I want all of your equipment lists. I want photos of your rooms, drawings of your rooms, dimensions. If you've got construction photos, and Doyle, because he did a lot of this, had a lot of those things that he was able to show us. So that allows us to do our job that much better, because what we do is we're going to sit there and look at all that data and analyze the room, and then we give you a microphone placement guide. And Doyle probably has it. He can show you when you guys go to film it. And so we're actually giving you a PDF with your seating layout, and it's just independent for every project we do. Is all different because it's not a one-size-fits-all thing, right? It's
Everyone's situation is different. The rooms are different.
You know, if someone involves us early enough and they want consulting advice on placement and things like that, we can do that and walk them through room sim and subwoofer sim placements and things like that, because we have very accurate technologies that do that these days. But you know, at the same time, you don't always have that opportunity. So if you don't, we'll work with what you got. But we give you that, and then essentially we're giving you a roadmap. So we're showing you every position the microphone's going to be in, every height, and then all they have to do is place it, and we drive the bus from there.
Awesome.
So, and because of our background and what we know with Dirac and how to utilize it, we can actually look at the room and say, okay, you know, the reason we're seeing this dip between, you know, 250 is because it's an Allison step effect, and that's the transition here because it's an on-wall mounted things. So we have the knowledge to be able to know what we're looking at and what we can correct, and it allows us to do a more detailed configuration for the system.
Cool. Well, Matt, I am looking forward to this home theater. I was just telling you, tomorrow when I get back to Houston, I'm going to film this thing. And I've heard Dirac, I've heard art. Actually, I just heard a demo of it, and it sounds pristine. I mean, just excellent. They did a demo where they, you know, basic calibration, right? Or no calibration.
No, so with manual calibration, and then active room treatment layered on top of that manual calibration.
And it sounds, you have to experience it. So I'm interested to see how this is going to sound in a controlled environment in a home theater. And I mean, 5 subwoofers. It's going to be impressive.
I think you're in for a treat. My guy BK does a lot of these. He does a lot of these with me. He's probably one of the guys that likes to tag along because he just loves to learn the most. I think he's calibrated his own home like 45 times at this point. So he's been around. He's seen a lot of these projects, and he called me after, and he goes, "Man, that was killer. That is an excellent room." So
I can't wait now.
I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, Matt, I appreciate you.
Pleasure. By all means, man.
The man himself, Matt Trinklein, thank you for taking some time out again. And StormAudio, hope you guys enjoy the video.